Paul. Hello, Jason. Let's wait for Chris and we'll start. As soon as Chris is back.
He's not coming back.
Yeah, out the back
He
door.
went out the back door.
Ran away. So you stuck with me for
No, I
a
left
couple
it.
minutes.
It's like a runaway bride.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Who would like to say grace?
I'll do it.
Thank you.
We come before you and we ask that you keep your hand over our squadron, keep your hand over CAP, and keep your hand all over all of our country that is currently experiencing trouble. We thank you for all that you've done. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody. You may sit. We have a guest, two guests. So first we will let one non-member guest introduce yourself, if you don't mind.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Doug Roberts. I'm local here in Norco, and I came down with Carlos just to see what goes on. I've been flying for probably about 40 years now, and took a hiatus for 20 years. Now I'm back at it again. I just recently retired 2 months ago. Best job I've ever had, and I'm liking this. So,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Congrats.
Get back to some flying. So,
Thank you and
nice to meet
welcome.
everybody.
Welcome.
And Colonel, please. Colonel Newton is our wing commander, and he is here for one great reason, to do the change of command for our squadron. Sir?
A couple of things for those that don't know me, my name is Craig Newton. As Andre said, I'm the California Wing Commander, and so I have the great privilege of leading about 4,000 people here in California. We've got roughly 2,000 senior members, and we just passed 2,200 cadets. So that's quite a responsibility for what we're doing. So, like I said, one of the good things I get to do is give out awards and come do change of commands, and we'll go from there. Chris, front and center, please.
All right.
Now, if we had an NCO, we would do this a little more officially. So we'll kind of make
You're
this
the
happen.
senior squadron.
Yeah, it's the senior squadron. Just wanted to kind of, I got a little write-up. A change of command is a military tradition that represents the formal transfer of authority and responsibility in the unit. The command is the flag holder, and that actually is the symbol behind the changing of the flags. The passing of the flags is to the incoming commander ensures that the unit is now clearly understanding who their leader is. And so very soon, you will be the official leader, and we'll have to get you a uniform with a command sticker on it, and ask Mike where it goes, and go on from there. But this is quite a responsibility. You know, one of the enjoyable things about Civil Air Patrol is the squadron commander. And I talk to my wing staff all the time. Go to squadron meetings, because that's where everything happens in CAP. We at the wing level need to be everything we can to support the squadron. It's not the other way around. So I'm going to challenge you to work with your adult members. Make it happen here at the squadron, because that's where everything happens. So, not too high. Not too high.
Low ceiling.
Yep. So, officially, so then you'll relinquish it back to me And you'll relinquish command.
I relinquish the command.
You are relieved. See, with a flag, I can't do that. So, back here, do you accept command?
I accept command.
It's all yours.
Now you have a new commander. It's been a pleasure to be your commander for a little bit over 2 years. I'm not going anywhere. It was a real big deal for me to see the squadron grow back in numbers. And I really appreciate all you members of the squadron do for the unit and for the organization. Chris, you're getting this unit and you are in good hands with Chris. We've been working together all this time. Chris and Mike, they were my deputy commanders, and they have helped me a lot through every step. When I took the command, I got overwhelmed with the SUI right next month, and without support from Mike specifically and Chris and everyone else, I would have no idea what to do. So now you kind of get in the similar shoes. We just completed our SUI, but we have a few responses we have to take care of, and now we are all together in much better shape. We have a lot more officers holding positions and being responsible in doing that. So you are up for a great start, Chris. And again, I'll be here, if not every meeting, but every other meeting, because I have to visit other units. But my office will be here, and the group command office will be at this location. So we will see each other often. So, Chris, would you like to continue? I kind of created a cheat sheet for you.
Exactly.
But it's your squadron now, and you can do it any way you like.
All right. Well, first, just a few words. Obviously, I've been here a couple of years now, and when I joined the squadron, it was a very different squadron. We were still kind of coming off of COVID. There was just, that general kind of malaise that rested through Civil Air Patrol. I met, I think it was John Stokes. I was over getting my license at next door there at RFA, and saw the big red, white, and blue 206, and I was like, yeah, I want to fly that thing after I get my license. And ended up talking to him for like an hour, set myself on rejoining a squadron. For those of you who don't know, my cap ID starts with a 2, so it's like, well, wow, you've been around for a while. I was in GLR OH 131, which is Great Lake Regions, Ohio, Cuyahoga County. I started as a, cadet programs officer a long time ago, and then just kind of life happened. And then now I'm back. So what I'd like to say is, this squadron has changed a lot just in the 2 years I've been here. All of you coming in has been great. Andre's left a legacy that's going to be hard to kind of keep up with. He's gotten involved. He's gotten to do a lot of things. I mean, what'd you do? 300 hours of flying, something like that? I mean, just
Like 100.
It's a ridiculous amount of flying, so I can only hope to, equal it. I hope with all of your help we can have a better squadron at the end of it. It's going to be a hard uplift because, he left the squadron in excellent condition. So I'll be looking for each one of you for your assistance. I can't do it alone. I think none of us commanders can do it alone. So looking forward to the next, whatever time period it ends up being. But we got a lot of good things to do. So we'll get to it. Obviously, as always, you guys know how to contact me or Andre or Mike if you have questions. I try to make myself as available as possible, as you all will know. You also know I commute about 3 hours a day, so yeah, I have plenty of time that if you grab me during the commute, I'm a captive audience. So anyways, comments, questions before I continue?
Well, congratulations.
All right. Thank you. All right, well, I'll go down the list
have
here.
to stick with this,
It's a good format. I like it. Let's see. Okay. So I'm just going to scan this real quick. Obviously, okay, so a lot of I think all the boards I'll have to disband and reform. All the duty positions I'll have to vacate, and I will talk with everyone who had a duty position to see if you still want to do that or if you have something that's more interesting that interests you. So look forward to those conversations. I hope everybody likes what they were doing and wants to continue doing something. I'll look forward to those conversations. So all of these boards, obviously, tentative pending reformation. So, oh boy, aircraft vehicle status. I will look to have any updates for us.
I have an update for you today.
Okay.
Airplane is in the hangar.
Is it flyable?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
It's
That's
full mission capable. so
fully
it's-
mission capable. Excellent. Yeah, the 172 we still don't have information on. I know you and I were talking about that last week. Because I'm interested too. 'Cause, yes.
Is the 172, is that just gonna be parked out on the apron, or?
No,
It's at Hemet?
The home hangar,
Yeah.
the home squadron for it will be Hemet, but as a group, we will give equal opportunity to all squadrons to train and get proficiency flight and form fives and so on and so forth. So we will have a rotation of aircraft. Likewise for 206, we need to get pilots in other squadrons to get checked out. So we will create events and move aircraft around as required.
I was just curious on the logistics, since, we only have one hangar with space for one plane,
So this squad, or Riverside in general, our plane typically is in the hangar. Any other aircraft that comes in, they will park up at porter ports. So if you're looking for a plane that's here that's not in our hangar, it's always going to be if it's not a maintenance one. So, which that's where they all hang out now.
But it's also, there is a caveat to that, right? So by rules, a pilot, if he's flying solo, he cannot park the aircraft in a hangar unless he gets help. And if pilot is not comfortable finding help to watch the wings and avoid hangar rush, he or she may park it at upper porta ports anyway. So if you find hangar empty but aircraft is supposed to be here, that's where you look for it, at upper porta ports, right at the base of the tower.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Upcoming events. So, the Pacific Air Show. So I think they've already started practicing because I've seen the people complaining about jet noises, which I'm like, I fall asleep with jet noises. What are they talking about? I'm going on Friday, but not as a CAP a thing. But if you are free any one of those days and you want to hang out, do Silver Patrol stuff at the air show, I know some emails went out. I can dig them out. If you are available and interested and you don't have that email, let me know. I can forward it to you because I'm sure there's a squadron that's kind of leading the effort of who's going to be there. But if you haven't been to the Huntington Beach Air Show, it's really fun. It'd be kind of cool to go especially if you're doing it for a CAP function as opposed to, being wined and dined as a customer or something. But no, it's a really good air show. Every time I've gone, it's been a little bit better than the year before. They do a lot of high performance demos right off the beach. It's kind of a unique environment. So if you can make time and you've got nothing else to do, look it up, hit me up if you don't have the email, and enjoy yourself.
And it's an opportunity to do it for free, and you get to go to premium places to watch first row all the events. So it's a great opportunity. If you like to go to air show, it's right at our doorsteps. Cannot find better location.
Where's it at?
Huntington Beach.
Right at the pier, and the pier is a primary spot. Of course, if you have your duty, you have to stick with the duty, but you get relieved and you have free time, so there's plenty of chance to go up front.
Yeah. Okay. Wing conference, which I know you two are going. I don't know. Is Terry supposed to be going this year? Terry's going. I exhausted all of my PTO, so I can't go, but I wanted to go. But, just take in mind for those of you who are looking to, complete your professional levels, that is one of the requirements, is attendance at a wing, region, or national conference. So if you, again, are in the area, it's in San Jose this time. I think they alternate between north and south. So if you're going to be in the Bay Area and you're going to be free on these dates, I suggest you go. Bring your uniform if you're going to do that. Sign up for some events, and really get to meet and greet. And I'm speaking from like kind of virtual. Like I've been to a few events. I haven't been to a wing conference yet, but when you start expanding and doing the other things in CAP other than just our squadron is cool. So don't be shy. Like, but when you spread your wings and start doing other things, you'll meet a whole wide range of people, and you'll find. I mean, I was talking to somebody once, and there's a whole group that does simulators. Like there's a CAP simulator group, and they focus on building really really good simulators. Just randomly talking to somebody at another training event. So you'll never know who you run into. There's lots of cool stuff, especially things that are aligned to your duty position and whatnot. So always keep that in mind. Always keep it kind of in the back of your mind when you see these events that are not here. That you're going to go somewhere and meet other people. So just take that in mind. Questions, comments about conference?
Not about conference.
Oh.
To add to the list of events, it's not there, but Planes and Treats.
Yes.
If you're not going, remember it's October 19th. We still don't have a confirmation from the commander from Playbob yet as to a hard head count. He said he'll know more about that closer to the date, but
Okay.
if they don't make it, we are still going to be there.
Okay.
We spoke to the manager of the cafe, and she has allowed us the same spot, right, the handicap spot where we were at last year. We can put up our tents, our table. Whether we have the airplane or not, I'm not sure, but we will work around that if need be.
All right.
Just to make sure that we will be there, even if it's just the two of us.
Okay.
I know Chuck
Yeah.
and his wife volunteered, and you're gonna be there too? Yeah. Beautiful.
Mike?
So, yeah.
Well, I just want to add that I was talking to La Mama, and she said that if our people don't have armbands, security will escort them away. So make sure that if you want to participate, that you get your armband and you put it on right away.
Well, like I told her, it's going to be, if it's just us, then we'll get those armbands
Yeah.
from her as soon as possible.
So she's going to have
We'll be talking
heavy
to the-
security this year.
Okay.
The police department will be
Yeah.
doing security this year.
Okay. So
That was
the-
the main thing that we were having concerns
Last
with
year they
last
had
year.
an epic event that they had no idea it would be that good. And it was just it was
Got a little out of
5
control.
times, 10 times more than they thought.
okay.
They had so many people, the roads were impassable.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
Jeez. So the TLDR, for those of you watching at home, Planes and Treats, October 19th. If you can show up, please do. Make sure that Chris and Michelle are not the only ones there. If you are going to show up, make sure you contact them to get your armband, or you will be not so gently escorted off the site. I catch everything? No.
Did I say that too soon?
Too soon? Too soon.
There's one more coming up out in Hemet, and it's a day out with Thomas. It's at or it's not Hemet, it's Paris, at the Paris Train Museum.
Okay.
And I think they're still looking for volunteers too. We took our
Okay.
grandson out there, and he had a great time.
Okay.
So
And
you've got,
every member from our squadron who goes there to help, we will earn some money towards our squadron fund. So more people go, more money we make.
What day was that?
I was just gonna look it up.
I-
You should have gotten an email.
Yeah.
about it, but I
So
don't-
check your emails for a day out with Thomas at Paris.
Paris.
The Paris Train Museum. So, again, if you've got kids, grandkids, they love that stuff. I remember my kid went through his train phase. It was that. I mean, I remember once he was in the car, half asleep because we had a day of activities. There's a train coming up next to us, and he just went, choo choo. And I was like, wow, kid. So yeah, kids love trains, man.
That's November 2nd and 3rd, and the 9th, 10th, and 11th. So the first 2 weekends in November.
November 2nd and 3rd, and then 9th, 10th, and 11th. Wow. Okay.
And I got to drive the train when I was there. So they
All
let
right.
me drive.
Did
was fun.
Did you get to wear the hat?
No.
I could see Mike with
I
a
was in
conductor
CAP
hat.
uniform.
I can see Mike with a little bit.
Mike, did you get
Well, the
to
wing
go
commander
to
can
work?
approve it. He's right
I
here.
don't know. He's probably right there.
All right. Any other events that we didn't capture?
That's all I know.
All right. All right. O-ride. So, or is it an O-ride, or are
Even
you
we
training?
get funding on time. I will be flying some cadets from Cable Squadron, hopefully this week.
Oh, that's right. The
But
changeover of the year.
Not
Yeah.
sooner than 118.
It's not, I would not anticipate anything this week,
This week. Okay.
Mm.
so.
Then following week.
It sounds like my work. The fiscal year is interesting. Yeah, so those of you who don't know, CAP is on the fiscal year, which ends at the end of the month.
Yep.
So all of the missions get defunded and have to be refunded. So there will be a little bit of a break in some of the mission cadence while we work all that back up again. So remember that vaguely in the Squadron Commander course. But other than that, so is it also okay? So that's going to be with Dennis. Okay. So are you flying over there, or are they coming here?
Obviously, I'm not flying since money's not in. So next
You-
week.
You could
I'll
taxi
stay.
really. No. Anyways, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think we know of any. Everything's going to be defunded. So no IPL, no SORAXs, no missions out there right now.
The only flyable mission is self-funded mission.
Yeah,
It's
sea
already
mission's
active.
open right now.
So if you
Yeah.
just want to rent CP aircraft for proficiency, go with the COP instructor,
Bore some holes in the sky, smash some bugs.
burn some gas.
But there is a corporate profiles that you must fly if you fly a sea mission. So you can't just say, hey, I'm gonna go and do something. There's a very specific profile.
Oh, that's right, the proficiency profile
Right,
or the
there's a
yeah.
corporate profile, and then there's an Air Force profile.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So yeah, there's really nothing to discuss about missions, other than that. Recruitment opportunities. So what's the placeholder for this? Is there something going on, Michelle?
No, it's just notification that Michelle is our recruitment officer until change of command. So now
So
you
she'll be
have an
for a few
opportunity
minutes,
to
and
leave
then
that position, find someone else.
No.
But basically, what I'm talking here usually, what I was talking here about is recruitment opportunities. So going out to aviation-related events, or maybe community emergency training events, even local police department, local fire department organizes events. That's a great place to meet people and talk about civil air patrol, our missions, and invite them people to our meetings. As you can see around this room, not even half are pilots, and even less are actually flying actively. So, but it's changing. We are flying squadron, but then we have room for variety of training opportunities and participation in our services.
And Michelle, for you, I think I've got a contact with the Riverside Emergency Services. So if that ever becomes something that we kind of want to integrate into our schedule, just let me know. He's always offered to come do a briefing. He is qualified to do wings as well, so he can do. I think the last one I did with him was like aircraft survival kits and just how to prepare yourself for an off-field landing, and he does those for wings credits. So if you're looking for another contact, I can kind of hook you up. And he's a great guy. Like when I bought my plane, he was like the guy who was like my brother. Like he helped fix my plane and stuff. So he's a great guy. He's a pilot, but he no longer flies. Like he sold his plane, so he does not fly anymore. But he's had well over 900 hours of Cherokee 6 times. So, general aviation pilot. So has a passion for aviation. Now it's all translating into boats. So I guess he can talk about water survival now and whatnot. Which reminds me, back on the events, I would be remiss to forget to mention. It might be a little late, it might be a bit of a squeeze, but if you have time on October 5th, so that's this Saturday, we're doing water survival. And apparently I'm the only water survival set active right now in this area, so that's how I got roped into it. No, I like doing it, but but apparently everybody else timed out, including all the other instructors. So if you are interested in doing Coast Guard missions, the way to get into that is you have to have your water survival um, um, proficiency, which is a day of splashing around in your flight suit or your polos. If you like getting in water with like being fully clothed and not wearing a swimsuit, no, it's there's some really important things you need to learn. So the main thing is you have to take the course. So again, it's compressed since it's kind of late right now. It's a bit compressed, but you'd have to go take the water survival course on Absorb, finish that, and if you have time on Saturday, sign up for the event, come out, and what we will do is make sure you test your knowledge with a briefing, and then we're going to get in the pool and we're going to make sure that you know how to swim, at least I think it's 50 meters, and float, tread, either for 10 minutes, yay, and learn how to climb into the raft, which I will say from doing it myself, climbing into the raft is the hardest part because it's in a pool and it's fine, and there's other things going on in the pool, but you don't realize that the raft is high. Like it's got high walls around it. It's an open water, open deep water raft, and there's a trick to getting into it, and you will be tired from treading water. So if you kind of miss out on this one, don't stress too much. It looks like this one's getting a lot of attention. I believe there's already 30 some odd people that are coming. The rules changed slightly, so I remember when I did it last time, I was the only one geeky enough to show up with his own personal flotation device, and everyone was kind of like, haha, and then I ended up having to put it on somebody because they weren't swimming very well. So I was, all right, who's the laugh now? But now I think National has mandated that we need to use the PFDs, so everyone will have to practice with them, and there's kind of a rotation of how we're doing it. So again, you might miss out on this one because it's a little compressed, but keep it in mind. It is good to know. I mean, if you're in general aviation aircraft and you are flying near water, there's a chance you might have to water ditch. And whether you're a pilot or whether you're a passenger, understanding what you need to do, what the dangers are, and how to prepare for them. I've flown to Catalina many times, and I've flown with, in fact, my friend, the emergency services guy. We flew with PFDs. I mean, because it would look kind of bad if two people that were kind of in this program didn't do the rules. But we were both prepared with what we do in a water ditching. How do we get to the raft? How do we say this is a Cherokee 6, so there were like literally 3 other people in the plane, so they're not pilots. How are we protecting them? Like, it really proved that, I was glad I went through the program. He had been through the program, and between the two of us, we're like, I think we have a very good shot of if we had to go down, everyone on this plane survived. So it's still good training. It's a little bit of a long day, and it's going to be a little bit of a long day because now we have to cycle through teams because we don't have enough PFDs for everybody. But keep it in mind for next time. We do it at Los Alamitos, so it's kind of, you go down to the base, and we splash around the pool for a while. So it's fun. It's interesting because I wore my flight suit just for that experience. I'm glad I'm really comfortable in water because what you don't realize about being clothed is you do get heavy, you get, and if you're not good at floating, you'll get tired of treading. So it is very good to know your limits on that particular thing. Anyways.
And if you do come to the event, bring the boots which you are not afraid to dispose. They're going to be most likely damaged.
We tell people, in fact, you don't even need to bring boots, just bring shoes you don't care about because we understand. Like, we don't want people ruining flight shoes and boots and stuff.
It's an important part of experience to actually try to stay afloat with the shoes on.
They fill up with water and drag you down, yeah. So, anyways, okay. Antique aircraft display. I feel uniquely gifted to talk about this. So, how many people own planes in this room? All right. So for us 3, now, even if you don't own your aircraft, every owner of a general aviation aircraft of a certain age, I think it's 1974 and beyond, or 5 and beyond, it keeps creeping up. We can take our planes to be displayed. And if it's at an official display with a sign-off, and we do that 12 times a year, that means that we get out of certain taxes for owning the aircraft. Certain, not all, but certain taxes. So the cool thing is, if you want to go see a bunch of general aviation airplanes that are currently flying, and the definition of antique is definitely very broad. If you looked at my plane in 1965 Piper Cherokee and you go, that's an antique, and it's like, well, okay. But you will see things like you'll see Daniel Balderson with his air coupes, and you'll see all kinds of cool stuff there. So if you're interested in general aviation and you want kind of a cool day to go out and see planes that are actually flyable, go to one of these antique displays. So Flay Bob is the third Saturday of every month. Of course, I know at my airport, Corona, it's the second Sunday. That's actually not right. It's the second Saturday of every month. There's a schedule. There's a printed list that most of us know of, and it's always an excuse to kind of fly around because these rotate around. I mean, they'll be in Santa Paula, they'll be in, and they'll be at cool airports that a lot of people just, may or may not go to very often. So if it at all interests you as kind of a weekend activity to go kind of hunt down an antique display, let me know. Every year I just copy mine into my phone and I can kind of track it down and tell you the schedule. But those are always fun. I enjoy it. I remember the first time I took my plane to one, I was like, what am I supposed to do here? And they're like, just stand by your plane and ask questions. And it's
A month before.
What's that?
Once a month. Everybody will know.
Exactly. Yeah. It's fun. I mean, it is actually really fun. And then if I got to keep track of some of the stuff that goes on at Corona because I know a little more about that. We just had like they call it planes and coffee, or cars and coffee is what we call it. So they get a bunch of cars, they get a bunch of planes, they park them all over the place, and it becomes a much larger event with food trucks, and it's a really big deal. Next time it comes up, I'll make sure I put it on the list. We talked about the haunted airport, planes and treats. The salute to veterans. Who knows more about that event? Because I don't.
You can reach out to Aaron Jefferson. He will
Okay.
provide more updates.
Okay. So
There was
what
a
is that though?
request, it's kind of aviation community event to say thank you to veterans from prior conflicts or wars. It's a good opportunity to bring couple aircraft. We did it, I believe, 2 years ago.
Okay.
Last year we couldn't do it. We didn't have aircraft at the time. So it's another
Okay.
aviation.
We'll keep an eye on it.
Just looking at the schedule, the date, that's the 2 days before Veterans Day, this is the Saturday before Veterans Day.
It's usually either before or right after the Veterans Day.
Yeah, cool. That's actually kind of interesting. Do we know where it is?
Right at Flagler.
Oh, okay. All right, that's also Flay Bob. All right. I don't want to update your sheet. I'll do it later. Let's see. Debriefing recent events. Have we had any recent events?
No, I don't think so.
Anyone been to a SARX lately? I think you went to one, right? But we talked about that last week, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. It was good though.
All right. So
So
that
this
was
is
last
not
week. Yeah.
So much relevant
Yeah.
at this moment.
Yeah.
It's more like a framework.
Okay.
to
So that's
change.
so. The wing commander's here. Let's ask him now. Put him on the spot.
There's your chance.
I know. Does anyone have questions that they'd like to know answered by the wing commander himself? Come on.
Yeah, maybe about airplanes coming.
That's
That's the most.
I'll talk a little bit about planes.
All right.
We've got
Excellent.
roughly 25 airplanes within the wing, and it's almost weekly I'll get a call from one group or another saying they want more planes. Okay, and I group 5 happened to be this week's call, and I said, that's great. You tell me who I take the plane away from. And I put it back on them. And they're always, well, there's got to be somebody else in the wing that isn't using an airplane. And I'll flip out my little piece of paper and go, Air Force asks us to put 200 hours per year for every airplane. and we're averaging pretty close to 300, which is probably, well, California flies more hours than any other wing in the nation, period. And it's by a long shot. Texas is close, Florida and New York are the three that we kind of compete with. But you look at what they're averaging 160, and they're having to justify keeping the airplanes. And so, yeah, and so one of the things that we have, I meet with the other wing commanders twice a year. We have a meeting, for lack of a better one. One is when we do the national conference, and the other one is we meet in Washington, D.C. once a year. So that'll be our next. And the region commanders have suggested that we really, really need to move some planes to California. You look at California, and we normally average about a 50% up rate of our airplanes. And you think, wow, that's terrible. But you got to look at it from the other side. It's because we fly so much that our planes are in maintenance because it's a 100-hour, or it needs tires, or whatever the case may be, but it's because we're flying the airplanes. So it's a good thing. But we need more planes, yes we do. What else?
Regarding SUAS,
Yes.
any news, any more coming into the wing?
Skydio, we only have one approved blue drone. It's considered approved by the DoD. It's an X2D. And there's two of them in California, and they're scattered around. We're getting an X10.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, and so it's the next generation. The biggest problem with the X2D defense is you can go down to Costco and buy a drone that has a way better camera on it than this $26,000 drone. So the X10 that Skydio's come out with now has a 40 megapixel camera, it's 4K video, and it has thermal imaging. So it's a much better drone, but it's still high 20,000, but it's approved by the DoD. The biggest reason is it has no communication. So if you go to fly it in Riverside, you've got to take and on a computer, put it on a memory chip and say, I'm going to fly this 2 square mile area, and you'll load that into the drone and you take it where you want to go. Now, if you go someplace, and we go to a Norco now you got to unload that map and load a Norco map in there. So versus the drone you buy from Costco, it goes to the internet and it says, hey, I'm here. But so there's a little bit of thing in that. So
There is a 10 coming
Yep.
someplace?
Yep. The other thing that we're working right now with Travis and Beale, they really want us to do counter SUAS, where we fly their drones and then they try to knock them out of the sky or take control of them. And so that would be a really fun mission, I think. Let them intentionally crash their drone, not mine. Yeah. But anyway, so that's we're working on that right now. The other thing with Travis is they've got, I don't remember the exact number, but call it 25 dams, reservoirs on the base, and they saw some work we did for the Army Corps of Engineers, and they want us to do high quality orthomosaic images of all their dams. So anyway, that's what's kind of up in SUAS world. What else? Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if this might pertain to your field or area, being wing, but do you know if HSO will finally go from draft to being a curriculum?
Yes, I know a little bit more about that. What's held that up the longest time is they finally have made a decision they're going to combine chaplain, HSO, and safety. And that's going to become one entity with 3 different specialty tracks. And because the HSO and the chaplains and the safety officers really meet the needs of the members, so that's taken them a little while. So yeah, that really needs to come. We need to get it out. That's several things out of the draft. The other thing that, kind of keying off of that is some of the SQTRs, specialty qualification training records, are so out of date. And so that's another thing they're working about. The missions, the 60-3, I've seen the draft, which should be coming out. It'll be now be called the 70-3. So that'll be updating all of that, and part of that is all the SQTRs that are going on. So there's a whole lot of changes. I know you're talking about the SUIs. There's an email that came out today. The SUI process has evolved. As of yesterday, it was you passed or you failed. That was it. That's all you got. So now it's highly effective, marginally effective, or ineffective. So they're trying to make it a little more quantifiable in the sense of, okay, I passed, but did I pass by this much or did I pass by this much? Now, what's that? Yeah, kind of the way we used to have. The other thing that is going to be very critical for commanders, if you had a discrepancy, okay, it used to be that would just count as the same as a no. So if you had a repeat discrepancy, it would change. You had to get 60% right to pass. Now with a repeat, you had to get 70. Well, now they've changed that. If you have a repeat discrepancy in aircraft management, pick one, doesn't really matter. Now that whole block becomes ineffective. So doesn't matter. You only get one chance on repeats. So they're really concerned about the number of repeat discrepancies. Hey, we got a discrepancy, and we send you a letter that says we won't do it again, but guess what? Next SUI or wing inspection, compliance inspection, you got repeats.
Which is really not unusual because command changes every 2 years, or every 4 years, and the SUIs are every 2. So
yeah,
it's not really unusual to have a new problem.
New problem because it's all new people. So what else?
Have you heard?
Yeah, the same problem with a new set of people.
Yeah.
Is the squitter for Waldo coming out?
Yeah,
soon?
Waldo, FLIR, and the revision to SUAS. Go ahead.
How about hybrid radio operator? That was another one. There's a hybrid one.
The only thing I've heard on that is they're talking about going away from MRO and CUL and going more toward what the real radio world uses. And so that's coming, but that's probably still a couple years away.
Is that the COML
Yeah.
and the COMC?
Right.
I forget.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you'll come in as the basic radio operator, and there'll be 3 steps to work, just like we have for your finance officer, technician, senior, and then master. That'll be the same way for the radio operators and for what we call the communication unit leaders. So that's changing.
Are they going to grandfather CULs in? Or will
Yeah, they will phase out.
He just went through that whole thing.
Yeah.
That's like the 3rd time you've done that to us.
The function will still exist, but they'll define it. Okay, like right now, it's pass or fail. You're either an MRO or you're not. And so same thing for the communication unit leader. So this will say, hey, I'm a beginning radio operator, and then I've done a little bit more, and now I'm intermediate, and now I'm an advanced. Yeah. I haven't seen anything hybrid-wise. That may roll up into an operator.
Come up and it's just like there's still decisions that are being made on that or something, but it's for the hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
And that one kind of caught my eye.
Yeah. Well, I can talk a little bit about that. I don't know how much time you want me to take.
As much as you need.
Much as you need.
The Air Force is really keen on us being better hybrids. And so it used to be, for those that have been around a while, we would have an Air Force evaluation every other year where we would have 12 planes or 16 planes or however many we could muster. And the Air Force would then keep throwing these injects in, and they would challenge us. And then the off years, we would do a winglet exercise. Well, that's kind of changed several years ago. Now they have every year the Air Force is evaluating a certain number of mission types. So they're going to come to California and say, hey, we want to ride with you on a no ride. We want to ride with you on a proficiency. We want to ride with you on a training. Now that's it's going to change a little bit. We have proficiency missions, which we fly all the time. But Air Force is saying, hey, wait a minute, that's a proficiency. So you have to have a current pilot and a current current scanner, there really can't be any training on a proficiency mission. Now, if you have a trainee, we have training missions. And so they're trying to really make sure we define what we're doing. And so we're spending, and they're not cutting our money, but they're just saying, hey, we're going to give you $2,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 for training. And they want to show that we are training people on that. And just like proficiency, we're keeping our people proficient on this money. So that's going to be a good thing. So this emphasis wing, so every year we have, and if you may or may not see the Air Force, but like I said, there's about 12 missions they want to ride along with us. Now, if you're an emphasis wing, which ours is 2026, so we've got a couple more years, then it's going to be the big exercise where the Air Force is here. And so that's a little bit different than what we've done in the past.
Well, it's interesting because, I've kind of made it my mission. I'm a low-time pilot. I'm a recent pilot and low-time pilot. So I've taken my mission to train better MOs.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed that some pilots have been very receptive. Some are like, whatever. But I had an interesting conversation with Kathy Brown because I was with her and Imperial. And she was kind of opining about the fact that most pilots aren't good at waiting to train MOs. And that was kind of the reciprocal problem. So what's your take on, so you hear about these exercises where I try to be an excellent MO. Like that, I've taken that as my personal possibility. And the MOs I train, that's the standard I want. I want pilots that literally are just bus drivers at that point. Like they can rely on the MO to do the job and not have to instruct. What's your take on, the MO Corps, if you want to call them that? and
unfortunately, we have produced mission observers that can't do their jobs. They get in a G1000 airplane and they fumble and twist and turn and fumble and twist and turn, and they can't quite get it done. Or they don't know how to work the TDFM radio when we tell them we need to monitor TAC 1 and Romeo 62. Well, how do I do that? And I need to talk on a particular radio. So yeah, we've done a real disservice to the MOs. And so part of, again, what the Air Force is asking us to do is take that training money and train people. Once they have a standard MO, says, hey, my SQ or my 101 card says I'm a standard, then that falls under proficiency. And now we need to keep them proficient. So again, we've done a bad job of training the MOs. So we need to be better about that.
So, but unfortunately, that doesn't line up very well, right? So, in most squadrons, you have like, let's say, 2 or 3 mission pilots, and 5 or 6 MOs, and 3 or 4 scanners. Right? I'm just
sure, big numbers. That's fine.
But so it doesn't line up because the mission pilot is the one that has to do all of the stuff in Wimmers, and that proficiency sort of goes for him or her, right? It doesn't go for the scanner and observer, but now you have this odd amount of scanners and observers that you're not training. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't line up there so that you're actually training everybody across.
Right, and that's why the Air Force is saying we have proficiency missions, and we really don't want to be doing training on that. We want to be doing improving our skills, which is a little bit different, versus we have training missions. And that's where we need to take that pilot and have them be the bus driver and have a SET, and they sit in the back with another MO in front, and they do training that way.
So
and
does that mean there's going to be another mission number that allows that?
Right, there's going to be a mission number that strictly says only do proficiency. And there's going to be another mission, which we had last year, that only does training. So you got proficiency, you have training.
So I could fly 6 sorties that month for training if I had 6 observers
Yeah,
that needed training?
absolutely. The problem, and this happened the last couple of years, we've turned money back on the proficiency and the training missions that are the year-long missions because we haven't used it all up.
So I don't know that the wing ops folks on that page, because heard people getting yelled at for that kind of stuff.
Well, here's where we have to be.
And squadron commanders.
Yeah, we have to say, and it's totally up to the wing. Mission pilots, you can fly once a month on a proficiency. Mission pilots, you can fly once a month on training missions. So we have to arbitrarily come up with a value.
Have we done that yet?
Yeah, and that's kind of where we are now. That they're setting limits, which may not be the right limit. It may be, hey, let's do it every 2 weeks, and so that needs to be kind of reevaluated. And so one of the things that I've challenged Jeff Ironfield on is, what is that? The other part of that, and this is the 3% of CAP members, and this isn't California specific, they take advantage of the system. We had, and unfortunately this was not in California, we have a return to flight mission that if you're an expired pilot and you want to get back in the system, well, Civil Air Patrol kind of went and said, we had somebody that flew 70 hours on a return to flight because they kept going to different instructor pilots. And so, is that the intention of that mission? No. And so you have to put some limitations. And again, so the tendency is you become a little too restrictive on it. So we're looking at that for next year. How do we avoid that in California, where we have, we did have one return to flight that ended up flying 10 flights, which was way more than anybody else. But
I guess it'd be nice if you could assign an observer a training, or, a proficiency flight, or observer a training flight, and same with the pilot, right? And so they can do them together, they can do them with somebody
yeah,
else.
and that's really up to the squadron commander to be able to say, hey, this is how we're going to do it. Because I don't know that there would be a way to dictate squadron to squadron to squadron how that's done. There's money available, and we don't want to turn it back.
Right.
But the same token, we don't want to abuse it, and then be the return to flight guy that ended up flying lots and lots of hours.
That's crazy.
So we've got to kind of find a way. So, like I said, the Air Force is very interested in how we're doing it. They want us to do these things. The other thing that they really are trying to emphasize is photography. That is really one of the big missions. We need airborne photography.
Oh, we need airborne photography sets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got one right here.
And actually, I got to fly at the Whiteman SARX. That's one thing about a mission, as the wing commander. I don't get to fly anymore. So I got to fly as a AP. So that was kind of good, and got to turn in pictures and whatnot. So that was fun. So we really need APs. That's going to evolve more into Waldo, and it's going to evolve into the FLIR airplane we have. They're talking about now we're bringing in a second FLIR airplane, and the Waldo's kind of been a problem because now FAA's decided that we can't take the Waldo on and off. So there has to be an STC per airplane. So
Are you talking about the mount or
Yep,
the actual
the mount.
pod? Oh, okay.
yeah, and so
You can leave the mount permanently on there, right?
that's just it. So, but that requires now it's about $1,000 for the STC plus the mount that then stays with the airplane, and so anyway. So go ahead.
So do we have a codified process to become set? Where it's documented?
It's really pretty. It's not bad. If you want to be an SET, and I'll pick airborne photography as an example, then you need to obviously be a qualified airborne photographer, and you need to know an SET. And the only stipulation now is that SET then says, hey, Mike would make a good SET. The wing or the squadron commander validates it, and then it goes up to wing with an email or a voicemail or something that says an SET has approved you as an SET.
So there's not some scenario where somebody has to submit a resume and talk about all of their flight operation hours, because literally I've seen it happen recently.
It should.
And where somebody took months to become a Blue River set.
Yeah, it shouldn't. No. Yeah. Oh, and I'm not saying it isn't happening, but it shouldn't be. And so those, are, I don't know about these things.
So
So
I'm just saying
yeah.
that I'm curious if there was a process, because I don't think we're aligned, and I see that you defined a process. I've seen it. The ops guys kick stuff back for and squadron commanders don't understand the process. So I would just, I think it'd be great if we had a codified written process that it might enable more people to become set.
okay, that's something I can take on. I'm in a position to do that.
Well, that's why I bring it up.
Yeah, and bring it up with my director of operations and director of emergency services training. So,
I think in some cases we don't have enough set qualified folks in
well,
certain areas.
kind of like what you're talking about with your water survival, they're expired. Yeah.
I mean, even just simple scanner observer sets, it seems like it's hard if you go to a SARX, there's not a lot of them around to be able to help you.
Right.
Well, and I will say, I mean, just from our personal experience in this squadron, I mean, Andre took a lot of the antlers, by the horns to just push it through the system and just keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing to get to the point where we now have sets in the squadron that can do stuff. But you're right.
Why does it have to take pushing and pushing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
It should. Yeah.
I mean, I watched them just keep, sending emails and back and forth. And I was like, what's the process? So same question. So
And it gets
it's
more
good.
difficult
It's good.
when you get into specialty tracks like SUAS. I mean, you've done every one of my evaluations, and it was not that it was hard to find you, but until I knew that there was going to be an SUAS flight down here at this location, it was all smoke and mirrors. You really didn't know. So it's
on the mobile tool, there is a place to look up SETs.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But
So-
there's just not that. If you look for SUAS
Oh,
out here in this group,
Yeah,
it's
there's very few. Yeah. And it's a matter of committing and putting in the time to put the hours in.
That's why you and I wound up in San Jose.
Yeah.
Well, we've successfully put our wing commander to work tonight.
Oh,
so
no. That's one of the good things I get to do. If you're not going to be at the wing conference, and I know that this is normally a cadet thing, Civil Air Patrol has all these stim kits that you can do. Really look into having the squadron do one of the stim kits.
Oh, we do that.
Oh, yeah.
We have our
Yeah.
specification
Our
officer.
esteemed,
He's on
yeah.
top of that
They're a
stuff.
lot of fun. I actually did the 30 Days Lost in Space, and I'm going to be teaching that at the wing conference.
Yeah, in fact, we have a plan for 3 weeks from now at our AE meeting to invite local schools, educators, homeschoolers, and stuff in to teach them to introduce them to the AEM program. We did it last year. We got a couple people signed up.
Great. Yeah.
And we're trying to reach out and do that again this year. So.
Yeah. So we are 3 missions, and a lot of times we forget about aerospace. We give it a little bit of lip service, but really go in and you can learn a lot. Like I said, the 30 Days Lost in Space, it was a fun kit. I haven't done electronics since Heath Kids. For those that might be old enough to remember, you're way too young to know what
Oh no,
Heath Kit
I'm
is.
not. You see all this gray hair over here?
Yeah. So, anything
All
else?
right. No, that's great. No, thank you.
Oh, sure.
You've filled up the bottom half
Oh.
of the hour.
Is that the way it works?
Thank you. All right. Well, anyone have any comments, questions before we close out for tonight?
I can remind about the payment for the next fiscal year.
Hey. Oh, sorry.
Bring your checkbooks.
Yeah. So make sure, obviously, the dues are due. So make sure you get those checks into us, to Michelle specifically, and
Or to you.
or to me. No, that's true. I'll just hand them to Michelle. Yes, sir.
As the new squadron commander, you're required to do inventory within a certain amount of
Change
days.
Yeah.
Which
So-
is good. Which is good because now we have to do the yearly inventory and do it all at once.
And I could have swore we just
So-
did inventory, so this should be
let me,
interesting.
Let me know if I can help.
No,
you,
it's-
obviously.
Okay.
I do have one more thing if I
Oh,
can bring it up.
sure.
As I happen to thinking about that, we have the Office 365 that we're using. We have run out of licenses.
What?
So if any new member that comes into CAP, they won't get a CAWG email right now. We don't need more licenses.
That's the reason.
That's
Yeah.
no bueno.
Yeah, and so, you know, I thought about that. 'Cause
Huh.
wait, how come I can't?
Robert didn't.
So region, it's not a wing problem, it's a region problem. And they're looking at, what can we do with Microsoft? Microsoft, hey, we have a nonprofit and it's only $100 a year per person.
Oh.
So,
Used to be free.
yeah, it used to be free. So anyway, so if you have somebody that comes in and doesn't have a California wing email address, that's why. We're not excluding them. We've just run out of licenses. Because California, Nevada, Oregon, and Hawaii all share the same pool. For some reason, Alaska and Washington decided not to join that pool. They use Gmail. So,
Sounds like
what
we
are
might
gonna
be
do
using
about
it.
that?
well, what they're trying to work on is in short term. They've got a lot of members that got an email and have never used it. So they're going through and going to say, hey, Sam, you've been to CAP 3 years. You've never used your California wing email. It's gone. And we'll issue that to somebody else. So that's the short term. The long term is they're trying to negotiate with, because National wants us to stay with Teams. They really like using Teams, which is a Microsoft product. And so,
I Google much more.
I'm glad this is being recorded because I got to play this for my boss who
Yeah.
loves Teams.
So, one of the things we're looking at, does it make sense to go with a Google platform or a Microsoft platform? Yeah, and so National is, whether or not, are they going to charge every member another $100 a year to make it nationwide, or just what they're going to do? So they don't have a long-term solution yet. Yeah.
I think it's going to come down to, does Google want to give out free
Yep.
email?
That could be too.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, that's like a, the whole Teams discussion. That's something that I deal with at work all the time. So that, what I suspect is I'm also the PCR help desk. So I suspect a lot of incoming support requests of why doesn't my email? Okay.
Why don't I have an email?
So now I can answer that. Excellent. Anything else? Anything else before we finish up? Well, first meeting as new commander.
Excellent job.
Yeah, it feels interesting. No, you guys have all seen me do this before, but if nothing else, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone online.
Thank you. Hey, Chris, expect an email from Tammy